term, but in your best way, I'll give you guys a minute. Just quickly jot down some ideas and we can go over it as a class. What time did I start at?
You start at
2:25.
2:25.
Well, for
Two-
us, so 2:27, 8.
Yeah.
So it's 2:25 fine?
Yeah.
I'll stop at 1.
Yeah.
You guys are done, just kind of put pencil down, pen down, and look up. Again, I know it's a tough definition, so try your best. Okay, Mike, you want to start off for me? Can you define it?
Yeah, the definition I kind of came up with is the social norms of a group expressed through interactions, media, and different forms of art.
Nice. I like how you related to art, because that's what we talked about. But also, I like how you said expressed. That's big, big, big key in this. How about you, Terry?
I came up with a set of values, beliefs, traditions, and customs that define a group of people.
Really good definition. How about you, Aaron?
I sort of came up with social norms, activities, or the way of life of a group of people.
Really good. Good job. Caitlin?
Like features such as religion, art, music, race, belief systems that define a group of people.
So both you and Terry said belief systems. Can you finish it off, Melanie?
Defining a group of people that share in something in common.
Okay. Like all your definitions, again, there's many definitions for culture. Basically, how I define it is it refers to following way of life, language. It's the simplest way of how you express yourself. I think Terry, you said expression, or who said expression? Someone said expression. Basically, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Basically, it's forms to express yourself. Language. Arts and sciences. We're going to talk about arts, but again, it's another way to express yourself. Thought. This is important because it's how you perceive the world, how you perceive ideas, how you perceive issues. Spirituality, religion, as you guys both touched on, moral values, belief system, social activity. Good definition of this. I'm sorry to offend some Southern people, but a lot of people associate NASCAR with Southern lifestyle. A lot of people associate American football with American lifestyle. Soccer for English. So certain activities can define a culture as well. And interaction. How you interact with your community, how you interact with people outside your community. All these ways will define culture. Okay guys, now using those definitions and the definitions that you guys came up with, I want you guys to answer this question. How does this picture describe Okie culture? If you guys would need to stand up and look at the picture, you're welcome to do that. Again, I'll give you guys about a minute.
This isn't framed paper.
Is it really? I was looking for a painting because I could find a lot of pictures.
It's on this wall. It's always on.
Is it really?
Yeah. I've been there twice.
Just to advise
Yeah, you
you.
did look at the items in the picture, maybe look at some of the background, what's the main focus, what's the main message that they're trying to send. That can describe and define Okie culture. And just jot down some ideas. And guys, that's not the Heisman. It's another.
It looks like it.
No, this you're talking about this guy right here.
No, that one.
This guy, no, this is not the Heisman. Heisman is completely like this.
My bad.
It's okay. It's a common.
Sorry.
But no. Again, these are all trophies dealing with football. So think about what's this picture showing with the trophies. What kind of tradition is it showing with Hokie football or Hokie culture? Just jot down like 4 or 5 things, because we have another awesome picture as well after this. Okay, Aaron, give me one thought about this picture and how it can describe or define Hokie culture.
My top thing is probably tradition. It has a lot of like football trophies. Burst is in the background. I think that's a picture of Beamer, but I can't see that from here. And then in the front bottom left, there's the like VP, which that's got to be really old because I've never even seen that before. So I think just like tradition is a really big part of it.
What kind of tradition is it showing?
This is mainly athletic, specifically football tradition.
And if you look at trophies, what do trophies symbolize?
Winning.
Yeah, so winning culture or winning tradition. Thank you, Aaron. And Mike, how about you?
She touched on a lot of the
Yeah,
stuff.
you did,
I
Aaron.
said.
You did a fabulous job finding that
But
picture.
if I were to add anything, it makes the school look prestigious, like it's a lot of prestige.
Mhm.
Somewhere where you can, it looks like if you go, you can be successful.
I like that. And also, you point out Burst in the background, which is also the center. This is really a iconic building at Virginia Tech, and also I view it as an academic building as well too. So yes, it's about sports, but also you're going to get a good education at Virginia Tech, and that's also a value. Okay, now got another picture. Again, can you describe Hokie culture for me again with this picture? And again, if you can't see it, stand on up. This is another pretty important picture in Hokie culture. Okay, Mallory, what do you think about this picture?
This is April 16th vigil.
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, should have described that. It's a candlelight vigil after 4/16.
And so this, to me, represents our part of our culture, the sad part, that will never be left. This will never leave us. But you have Burris again. I think they're probably on the drill field, maybe, which is another big part of our culture.
That's perfect. Thank you, Mallory. And Caitlin, can you add on anything for me?
To me, it represents like community and unification, and that's a big part. I feel like of Hokie culture is like we're very unified. So we have a strong community, or I feel like we do.
And Carrie, can you add anything for me?
Yeah, Caitlin touched on it when she talked about unity and just we seem to have a very strong sense of community here. The only other word I had that's related to all that is just togetherness.
Now, Mike and Terry, you were here during 4/16, correct? Whereas I think we were
I was
seniors in high school. So basically, I mean, you can look at it in a negative way, and it's always be viewed as a negative way, but if you were here, which I wasn't, the way I understand it, is this brought the community to a place that's never been before, in terms of togetherness, as you said, arms around each other. And it really defined Hokie culture today in a positive or negative light. You guys did a great job with that, and we're going to touch on this a little later in the lesson. Now, the learner outcome objectives. Students will identify how the Harlem Renaissance developed and defined African American culture in the 20th century. And also, students will recognize the importance of art and culture and how art influenced the African American community during the Harlem Renaissance. The NCSS theme, dealing with culture, theme 1. What is culture? We kind of touched on this already. What role does culture play in human and societal development? This is a long one, but what is the role of diversity and how is it maintained within a culture? How do various aspects of culture, such as belief systems, religious faith, or political ideals, influence other parts of a culture, such as its institutions, or literature, music, and art? Obviously, I put some stars on art because that's what we're going to be dealing with today. It stands for learning, examining art, literature, and music from the 1920s and 30s with an emphasis on Langston Hughes, Duke Ellington, Georgia O'Keeffe, and the Harlem Renaissance. We're going to focus on mainly the Harlem Renaissance, and do not look at that one.
So you were good with that. You did
Put off your PowerPoint. Got it.
Okay, leave hanging, so
There you go.
I kept it. Okay, now the big question that I want you guys to learn today, this is the big outcome, is what role did art play in African American culture during the Harlem Renaissance? In this picture, I'm not going to really go in depth, but I just want to get your mind going with certain art. It is called Chain Gang. 1939 was painted by an artist named William H. Johnson. Just I'll touch on it lightly. He was known for his colors, his shapes, and also if you look closely, look at the hands, look at the feet, really disproportional. That was one of the themes that he had. Okay, now I'm going to pass out a worksheet, or not worksheet, a little summary of some prior knowledge that you guys should have, and some terms are bolded, so we will go over the bolded terms. But just take a minute, skim over it. If you have any questions, write it down.
Thanks.
Mike did a fabulous job on touching causes of the Harlem Renaissance, but I just want to reinforce some ideas. Emancipation is when African Americans gained rights, voting rights after the Civil War with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. And then if you look at the next word, disfranchise, is when all those rights were taken away politically, especially in the South, but also in the North, due to Jim Crow segregation. Mike did an awesome job of talking about that as well. Now, Jim Crow segregation in the South led to African Americans to go north. So they felt like they had more opportunities, better life, more jobs, so they went north. And they will find out some parts could be true, other parts cannot be true with that statement. Again, Mike did a great job with Great Migration. And the last term I want to focus on is the ethnic immigrants. And if you look at that sentence, they were extremely violent, and they also caused a lot of riots dealing with African Americans because they were fighting over jobs, over housing, and over opportunities. And again, the Harlem Renaissance was a cultural movement in the 1920s and 1930s. It was a cultural explosion of African American works. And it took place in Harlem, New York. Big question is, why did it take place in Harlem, New York? Due to the Great Migration. As Mike pointed out, there's pockets of African Americans that end up in certain locations, and one of the locations was Harlem. And during the Harlem Renaissance, Harlem was it was actually the biggest black community in the United States. So it makes sense why this cultural explosion would happen in the largest community of African Americans. This is the first time in history that African American works are the focus of a movement. It's amazing because if you think about it, probably 60 years ago, they were slaves, and now their works are in mainstream America. Whites wanted to listen to their music, composed by African Americans, wanted to read their poetry, read their plays, and look at their art. And again, it was novels, theater, poetry, intellectual philosophies and movements, art, entertainment, and music. So basically, I just want to point out that it's not just one thing. It wasn't just music, it wasn't just poetry, it was many, many, many different culture aspects of African Americans that were in the focus or limelight of American culture at that time. And this also influenced future African American generations. This was a big precursor to the civil rights movement, and also future actors, future poets, future writers, artists had a much easier time going to the mainstream because these guys paved the road for them. So that's another important factor in it. Now I want to talk about themes in art and how it reflected African American culture. The experience of slavery. Most of these artists did not experience slavery firsthand, but their parents and their grandparents did. So that's a major theme in their work. This emerging of a black identity. Basically what this is, it's a theory that blacks should be proud of who they are and what their past were. All the stuff that they had to deal with, the struggle, the hardship, formed who they were. And now they should be proud of it. And they should express it in certain art and how they live. The effects of institutional racism. Again, even though they were technically free and they had a right to vote, wasn't really the case in the South and also places in the North. They still had limited opportunities politically, socially, economically, and this theme was really prevalent in a lot of the art. The dilemmas inherited in performing and writing for elite white audiences. As we pointed out, Cotton Club was a major place for African Americans to perform, but the ironic thing is they couldn't watch their own culture perform. It was geared to a white audience. So these artists were in a struggle. They wanted to show off their culture, they wanted to show off who they were, but the only people that could experience it, for the majority of it, or a way to make money, was not their culture. It wasn't African Americans, it was whites. So this is a big dilemma as well. And the question of how to convey the experience of modern black life in the urban North. You had all these southern African Americans coming to new cities, new towns, and experiencing the new way of life. So how can they instill this in their art? And there's many more. I just want to just touch on a few. So why is this important? Well, we're going to do a visual discovery on how African American culture was shown in art. I want to look at 3 famous Harlem Renaissance artists' work and connect it to the African American culture. Now the key to this lesson is I want you guys to understand how art showed African American culture. So I don't go in depth of the artist, but more of what their work is about. And I want you guys to take out a piece of paper. You can use the one that Mike gave you. You can take out another one if you want to. I want you to write down ideas and thoughts and how this art is describing African American culture, about the themes we talked about, and also how we talked in the beginning about what is culture. And the big question I want you to answer is how is this piece of art showing African American culture? Now at first what I want you to do is I'm going to show a piece of art. I want you to write down your initial thought about it. Just your first thought, write it down, and then discuss it. Again, if you need to stand up, Well, welcome, stand up. Okay, and what's your first thought about this picture? Because this picture really struck me first time I saw it.
I think it's depressing.
Depressing, yeah.
Kind
No, that's true.
She looks white.
Exactly, that's exactly what I want to hear. Now,
Oh.
this is the main point of this picture. This picture is entitled Octoroon Girl. I wish I could write it up, but it says Octoroon Girl. Who knows what an octoroon is? Do you guys have any idea?
Something.
8 something? That's a good job using your brains. Basically, it's a slang, or it could be a definition for someone that was 1/8 black. If you were 1/8 black, you were technically still African American. Okay? Now, the artist was actually a piece of art that Mike showed, was Archibald Motley Jr. He was born in 1891 to 1981. Born in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm going to point out every artist where they were born, because I want to show that they took place with the Great Migration. All these artists were born in the South and went north. He was a painter, and the ironic thing is he never lived in Harlem, but he was a major player. He lived in Chicago, but he influenced the Harlem Renaissance greatly with his painting. So it showed that blacks did also go to other places and other major cities during this time. Okay, now I want you guys to write down what do you think of this painting. We already talked about what an octoroon is, but look at this picture. I want you to write down how is this picture dealing with race. Obviously, Mike's first thought, and probably some of your thought was, well, this is a white lady. So what is this artist trying to show or express? Also, look at the material wealth. You know, she's wearing nice clothing. Seems like she's on a nice sofa in a nice house. What stereotypes is he trying to express, deny? And how is this piece dealing with racial pride and beauty? And if you need more help, what is this piece showing by what is the message for a white audience and a black audience if you're viewing this picture? And I'll give you guys about 3 minutes to write down some stuff. If you need help, raise your hand. I'll get your mind racing about this. Just look at the picture and try to look at those questions that I guided you with.
I got 2 minutes left. No, not battery. Actual recording time.
You can't charge it.
It's not battery. Space. Like recording space. Yeah.
If you want to record over mine, you can record over.
No.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that is.
Grab some. Okay, dealing with time, I have 2 other pictures I want to show you guys. So I'm just going to ask about 2 of you guys what you thought about this picture. Terry.
I thought it was conveying a couple different messages. The first message I thought of is, look how far we've come. Like you pointed out earlier, it looks like she's sitting on a nice couch. She's well dressed. She has a nice hat on. Looks like she has a necklace on. So the artist could be saying, look how far we've come from where we were just, 60, 70 years ago. I was also thinking, You know, I know a lot of people thought at the time that assimilation was bad, that if a race is mixed, it would ruin both of them, it would ruin white culture and black culture. So I thought maybe this artist is saying, look, you know, assimilation, it's not a bad thing. She's 7/8 white, 1/8 black, look how well off she is. But then, on the other hand, I thought it's kind of depressing too, because she doesn't look very happy. So maybe she's still treated poorly, you know, even though she appears white, because she's 1/8 black, she's still treated as a black person. And you know, 1925, so women have the right to vote at this point, but maybe she still doesn't because they consider her black, depending on what area she lives in and, you know, voting policies.
That's all good points, Terry. I like how you stayed with the main question about how is it shown in African American culture, with their thoughts about dealing with race, equal rights, progressing through you know, society. Aaron, can you add anything?
Yeah, just because I already know a good deal about this kind of culture, I see that it's sad, and I think part of the message is that she's not going to be accepted anywhere because she's too black to be white and she's too white to be black, and that was a huge point of contention during this time period. So she wouldn't really fit in anywhere, because as soon as anyone found out that